It's the story of a man who tried to outrun his past but found it waiting for him at every corner. His name was Jack Rains, a former Mi-6 operative, once a ghost in the field, now just a shadow in hiding. He spent his days in a small safe house on the edge of London, staring at the faded photo of a woman he could never forget. Her name was Lena. Her eyes still held the dreams they once shared, dreams that had been shattered by fire, betrayal, and war. Jack was no longer a soldier. He was a ghost among the living. But on the night of July 14th, everything changed. A coded message crackled through an old frequency he thought was long dead. Site 0 is under attack. Malikov is back. Jack froze. That name hadn't been spoken in years. Viktor Malikov, once a warlord, once presumed dead, was alive. And worse, he had returned with something more dangerous than ever before. They said he had control over something that could change the balance of the world. Jack didn't need orders. He didn't wait for permission. He slipped on his old jacket, checked the magazine and his pistol, and looked at Lena's photo. One last time. This time I finish it, he whispered. Outside, the city was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that only comes before the storm. Jack disappeared into the shadows once more, this time not as an agent, not as a fugitive, but as a man who had nothing left to lose. And for someone like him, that made him more dangerous than ever. Jack had disappeared into the shadows, but shadows were never quiet for long. Somewhere deep beneath the city of Berlin, in a concrete bunker buried under 30 years of cold war paranoia, men moved like ghosts across glowing screens. Malikov's network was no longer a gang of mercenaries or fragmented radicals. It was an empire of silence and code. And at the center of it all was Project Orbital, a neural warfare prototype that had been deemed too dangerous to exist. But now it existed, and it was in the wrong hands. Jack moved swiftly through Berlin's back streets, his instincts sharper than ever. He had no map, only whispers, snippets from old contacts, half-burned notes, and a coded name, Zara Kim, a tech specialist once buried deep within Mi-6, now vanished off the grid. She was the only one who could help him decrypt Orbital, and perhaps the only one who knew how to destroy it. As night fell, Jack located an abandoned data tower near the outskirts of the city. The building looked dead, but Jack knew better. Anything dead can still be dangerous. He bypassed the broken security gates and entered the main hall, every step echoing through years of dust. It wasn't long before the silence shattered. Two armed guards, masked and trained, stepped from the shadows. Jack didn't hesitate. In less than 5 seconds, both were down, silent, clean, just like the old days. He found Zara in the lower level, bound and bruised but alive. Her first words weren't a plea, they were a warning. He's already launched phase 1. Jack didn't flinch. He helped her to her feet, but the look in her eyes said it all. Whatever Malikov was planning, it was bigger than either of them expected. They escaped through the service tunnels just as the building exploded behind them, flames tearing through steel and concrete. Jack didn't look back. He never did. With Zara at his side, a stolen hard drive in hand, and Malikov's countdown already ticking, they boarded a train headed nowhere and everywhere. Zara explained that Orbital wasn't just a weapon. It was a control system, a neural link designed to override command centers, satellites, and even defense systems. If synced properly, Malikov could paralyze entire nations with a keystroke. And he was days away from global access. Jack stared out the train window, Berlin blurring past like smoke. The weight of what was coming pressed down on him, but his face remained still. The mission had changed. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about the end of everything. Jack closed his eyes, letting the rumble of the train hide the silence between heartbeats. The storm had begun, and he was already in it. The train roared through the European night, slicing through rain and memory like a blade. Inside, Jack sat in silence, the weight of the stolen hard drive pressing against his chest like a second heartbeat. Across from him, Zara quietly recalibrated a cracked tablet, her fingers dancing across fragmented code. She had barely slept, bruises fresh, but her mind hadn't slowed since they left Berlin. Jack watched her for a moment, then turned back to the dark window. Every passing flash of light on the glass reminded him of a ghost of missions that went sideways, names that never made it back. But he wasn't haunted anymore. He was resolved. The war had evolved, and so had he. In a small compartment at the rear of the train, Jack used a burner phone to make contact with an old Mi-6 handler, a man codenamed Ashbridge, There was no greeting, only code. Project Orbital is live. Threat level Omega. The response came seconds later. Intercept at Junction 12. Contact waiting. Extraction off grid. Jack killed the call. Nothing more needed to be said. By morning, the train rolled into an empty platform in Prague, abandoned except for pigeons and fog. A man in a faded trench coat stood by a rusting bench. Jack didn't need an introduction. The contact, Emil Novak, was a war-era relic, half spy, half ghost. He led them through a maze of sewer tunnels and into a hidden tech haven buried beneath an old opera house. The air was damp, and every step echoed like a drumbeat. Screens glowed from the walls, running silent scans and decryption attempts on the stolen drive. Zara plugged in her systems and immediately began to work, sweat lining her brow. "This is military-grade neural encryption," she muttered. "Something old, Soviet tech, but layered with something new." Something. She paused. Her expression darkened. "This isn't just AI. This is responsive. It's learning." Jack leaned in. "You're telling me Orbital is alive?" Zara didn't answer. She didn't need to. The data on the screen began shifting in real time, adapting, reacting. Somewhere, miles away, Malikov saw it too. A breach in his system. A challenge. He smiled in the cold glow of a satellite uplink tower buried in the Ural Mountains. "Let the hunt begin," he whispered. Meanwhile, in Prague, alarms inside the opera house flickered, not loud, but persistent. A silent alert. Emil Novak turned pale. "They've tracked the signal," he said. Jack didn't wait. In under 30 seconds, they were packed, on the move, heading up narrow stone staircases behind old velvet curtains and broken chandeliers. Outside, 3 black SUVs tore through the fog and surrounded the alley. Jack kicked open the side doors just as bullets shattered stained glass windows above them. They ran, not away but toward the fire. Jack moved like a machine, disabling 2 armed attackers with brutal precision before leaping over a brick wall with Zara in tow. Her laptop still clutched in one arm, her other hand covered in blood, not hers. They ducked into a bakery, kicked open the back door, and hijacked a delivery van without a word. As they peeled through Prague's morning streets, Jack could feel Orbital reacting, sensing them, adapting. This wasn't a chase anymore. This was war. And war was the only thing Jack had ever understood better than peace.